All right, what's up, everyone? It's been a while. Happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day as well to who celebrates it. Welcome back. It's been a while since I streamed the last time. How is everyone doing? So I hope you guys had a great month in April, and that your month of May is already having a great start. So here we are, another weekly market analysis. Basically, we're going to take a quick look at what's going on in the market across FX, US indices, or even DAX as well, crypto, and some commodities as well, including oil, gold as well. So feel free to ask any questions as well if you do have any asset that you'd like me to pay attention to, any key levels that you think that may be relevant to look at. So feel free to share, and let's get into it, because it's going to be an important week, as you know. Okay, so it's going to be FOMC week on Wednesday. So we're going to have the meeting, and then even Thursday I have also Bank of England. But the focus is definitely going to be on the Fed Chair Powell. What is he going to do this meeting? Well, everyone is expecting for the rates to stay the same, so that's not exactly the question. The question is more about what is he going to say in regards to the future. Okay, that actually has been a big change in the expectation of when we are going to have the first rate cut. So if you're actually, let's start with the calendar. Okay, so this is what we have for next week. Start with services PMI. Tomorrow is actually going to be bank holiday in the UK. It's still a little bit celebrating the Labor Day. If you are not from the UK, well, every bank holiday in the UK, it happens on Monday. So if it was kind of somewhere on another day, it ends up being pushed towards Monday. So the rest of Europe, basically, the rest of the world already celebrated Labor Day on the 1st of May. Continuing with that, nothing really much until then we get into Wednesday, when you had the Fed meeting. As expected, again, 4.5% the interest rate to remain the same. Then on Thursday we have the Bank of England, which is expecting apparently to cut rates by 25 basis points from 4.5 to 4.25. We're going to maybe take a look into the pound as well, and see what you can expect. And then it just continues throughout the week without much more going on. Now, this is actually the big difference. This is something I just realized it, to be honest. So as you can see, the expectation, 97% the odds for the rate cut to remain exactly the same. And this is the difference, because apparently the market was pricing in the first rate cut to happen in June. Now, what happened last week? Okay, so maybe we can talk a little bit about that as well. And let me know in the comments what you think about it as well. Okay, so what happened last week was that we had important data. Okay, we had NFP. It was the first week of May, so we ended up having NFP last Friday. It was much better than expected. So if you take a look at the numbers, the market was expecting 138. It ended up being 177. So that's a little bit better than expected. But actually, there was a big cut in the revised. Apparently, last month was 228, but the revision went into 185. So yeah, basically what it was gained in here, it was lost in last month. But the most important part, in my opinion, it was in regards to GDP. Okay, so we had the first data announcing the GDP of the first quarter in the US, and it came out negative. Okay, so the advanced GDP, as you know, there are always three data that come out in regards to GDP. There is advanced, the preliminary, and then what's the last one? And then the final one. Okay, so basically the advanced is the one that usually creates more volatility, because it's the first time that we're getting the data from that quarter, and it was negative. Okay, so the last quarter of 2024, it was 2.4%, and the first quarter of 2025 ended up being negative. The market was still expecting to be around 0.2, which was already a big fallout from the previous one, but it was even worse than expected. Minus 0.3%. We actually had that move to downside initially on the US indices on Wednesday when the news came out, but then eventually it managed to turn around. Now, this can be a little bit based on the tariffs of that uncertainty that was created around the tariffs that Trump announced across all countries, and then kind of he postponed it for 90 days and so on, and the situation with China as well. And all these tariffs, what it meant, it was that many companies, and we actually could see that, I don't remember now where the date it is, but you could see that on the orders. Okay, there's a date as well, I think it was actually the week before that, that we saw a really high number of orders from companies. Okay, basically orders on buying some products that they may need for their manufacturing. So there was a big increase in that specific month, because of course everyone was trying to make sure that they will get as much as possible of something that they actually need before the tariffs get in place, and maybe that cost would increase in the future. So they try to play safe and just order as many as possible while the price is still low or not affected by the tariffs. So that's basically one of the reasons as well, maybe for the GDP to be negative. But the reality is that it was negative, which can again raise the questions of if you're getting into recession or not in the US economy. So as you know, the definition of recession is basically 2 negative consecutive quarters. At least that's the basic one. If you are doing an exam and if you select that one, you're going to have the correct answer. However, as you know, 2 years ago they came up with another story. Maybe the unemployment also needs to be quite bad, and so on and so forth. But that's what we have. So we have the first quarter being negative. Of course, the data can still be revised until we get to the final one, but at this point it's negative, which makes the Fed being in a weird situation, because at this point the Fed was comfortable with the economy and the labor market, and the main concern was the price stability in terms of the inflation. Now that the economy starts to go bad in the US, now it's a bigger problem. Inflation is still not 100% controlled, and with tariffs can even get worse. So now none of the situations they are controlled, because anytime if you listen to the press conference, anytime the Fed Chair Powell starts speaking, is the main concern or the responsibility of the Fed is price stability and labor market. Okay, we're like a low unemployment rate in the US, which means kind of high employment across in the US. At this point, price is unstable. It can still increase, and the labor market, if the US actually gets into recession, eventually is going to start increasing as well. So what the Fed's going to do? That's going to be the question, and that's why it's a really important meeting, the one that's going to happen on Wednesday. And this is actually the difference, because basically 1 week ago, as you can see, and that's actually what I was still looking at, we had, or the expectation was to, as you can see in here, the expectation was to have the first rate cut in June. Okay, so basically this is on the 18th of June. So the expectation was around 57, sometimes even 63, as you can see in here. 1 month ago, it was for the rates to change. And there was even 1 month ago, it was only 5% chance that the rate would stay the same in June. Now it completely changed. Okay, now since yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, the odds are 63% at this point that the rates are still going to remain the same until June, which means that maybe only in July is going to happen the first rate cut, which is a big difference. Okay, big difference. We have seen a lot of bullishness in the US indices during this week, but this can affect a little bit eventually, or is going to be reflected in the market. One last point, what they also had last week, major earnings being announced from the Magnificent Seven. Okay, we had, it's not mistaken, we had a Meta, so basically Facebook, we had Alphabet as well, Google, we had Microsoft, then we had Apple and Amazon on Thursday. So basically there was a little bit of a mix. Most of them, they actually got good earnings, and the market actually was happy to see that they continue to invest a lot in AI. Okay, so they continue to put a lot of money into development into AI, especially Microsoft, Meta, and Alphabet as well. While a little bit of Apple and Amazon, that was a little bit of the problem because of the situation in China. If this situation, the trade war continues, there's a concern in that market, and that can affect eventually of course, the margins and the sales in those markets for those companies, which can be a very bit, and not a very bit, can be actually a big concern for them. So yeah, that's a little bit of it, just a little bit of a mix, but overall the data was still good. Of course, uncertainty in the future, but the market is actually happy that those big seven are still investing, putting a lot of money into AI. So that was another factor why we had such a positive movement in the indices, as we're going to see in a bit. Now, in terms of the dollar, we're finally recovering, okay, after such a big negative move on the dollar, all the way since the tariff started, the conversation around basically the inauguration, Trump inauguration, then in February confirmed, and then basically it's always moving to the downside, and now approaching a little bit of this level after taking these lows. Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of these lows. I think eventually price may want to continue to go a little bit lower, but it was expected that eventually we would have a little bit of a retracement, right? Price wouldn't just continue to fall all the way through, non-stop to the downside. Now we are back at around 100, so it's going to be always an important number to pay attention to, and they are still around this structure, okay? Basically, it's this one, and it can be even that one as well. So we are back at around a little bit of this structure in here, and I'm curious to see how the market is going to react, okay? If it can go a little bit higher, start breaking some highs in here, there was definitely the potential of that long in alignment to this left shoulder that could have happened somewhere around here. For example, personally, I was actually still looking for price to go a little bit lower into this level, which can still work, okay? At this point, maybe price can even potentially do something like this and go higher. Okay, so that level in here, maybe somewhere around here, can still work, even though as I mentioned, I would even prefer to see price creating new lows eventually before a bigger move to the upside. But we don't need to respect these lows and need to understand that price actually is starting to break a little bit of highs in this case. Now we are still within this level, so that's still something to consider, and we have all that previous level structure on the left. So overall, if the dollar still does want to continue to push a little bit higher, it can. Of course, eventually can even go all the way back into this 103, but maybe that doesn't really need to happen. I'll be just playing around to see how price eventually is going to react from around somewhere in here. Okay, so that will be a little bit where I'll be looking for to see how the dollar is going to play in here. This level here can actually still hold, so price now was compressing to the upside, broke the structure in here, and I already made another move, and I still like this. Yep, I still like that supply, but of course price can still go a little bit more to the upside. But yeah, that's more intraday, maybe what we can expect on Monday. Overall, I want to continue to see how price is going to react either around this level, or if it starts going up. Yeah, we'll see the next level. What may happen in here. But yeah, overall, a little bit of a nice move. I'm just not completely already bullish on the dollar, just because I'm not the biggest fan where the lows are still reacting from, and I could still see the lows going a little bit lower here. We'll see. Yeah, guys, you can let me know in the comments what you guys are looking at and your opinion in here on the dollar and also other pairs. Looking at the S&P, okay, so S&P, Nasdaq, and so on, they basically are all moving to the upside. It was one of the biggest turnarounds when you're looking at the monthly candle, okay? So this is actually quite a unique candle, okay? And S&P actually ended up closing negative, but on the Nasdaq actually closed positive. This is, I think, maybe one of the first times where we were negative 10% for the month, and the price actually still managed to recover completely out of the move and actually finish positive. And that's for many people, that can look like a strong bullish sign, and that maybe price is ready now to go all the way, challenge the highs again. I'm not that confident just yet. I can see still a lot of problems. Overall, I don't think there's still that much certainty in the market for price to just rally, create new all-time highs, and just be really happy about everything. So I'm going to still be a little bit concerned, and I'm actually curious to see how price may react now that is approaching. So it's approaching this structure again. which can be one of the most important levels. Sometimes that's actually the type of move that happens is price drops, so it's a little bit of an important level, then drops again, and it's going to be at around this level in here where price either makes the decision to go higher or kind of respects something and starts moving to the downside. You can even take a look into what happened a little bit into 2022. As you can see, basically price created a little bit of this structure, created this top in here, it went down and then come back all the way when everyone was already thinking that price was ready to create new or challenge the highs and go into all-time highs, all the way back in March or end of March. All of a sudden in April it just flipped and it just went all the way down, broke this, and it actually got a really negative bearish move or strong bearish move happening in there. So that's a little bit of what we may pay attention, is how price is going to react now at around these highs in here, which is kind of a level of liquidity that many investors and traders are going to be paying attention to, because many are going to think that if price breaks above it, it means all the way to the highs again, and that may not be the case. Yep, that may not be the case. So I'm going to pay attention to it. Now, I do like where price reacted. Okay, I'm not going to ignore that. Price reacted from a really good level, perfect support resistance zone in there on the S&P, and price is actually moving to the upside. Now, I can see a little bit of a few lows being broken on the way up, so that's nice. Actually, you can manage to catch some of the shorts in here, but just smaller shorts, because I never managed to get even the bigger move in here. But overall, price just continues to move higher, and I'm going to continue to pay attention. Basically, some of the levels that I was paying attention to or that I want to see price react from, it was kind of somewhere around here. So you had that reaction, then it was somewhere around here. Basically, again, we had a little bit of a reaction, then also kind of we had these left shoulders in here, so price also reacted from it, and now basically we are back into this left shoulder before eventually go into the highs, which we then can fake out the tops if prices want to do that and get a little bit closer into this level in here. Okay, so this is still the zone of the 2nd of April when Trump announced the tariffs or the Liberation Day. Nasdaq actually already broke above this top. Nasdaq is already getting closer to that structure in there, which maybe S&P could fall as well. We will see. But eventually, as you start getting closer and closer to this top, we may actually go all the way and fake out this top in here before actually any move to the downside. But if you actually look into the lower time frame, there's maybe still something to pay attention to around this level. As we can see, we can get closer in there, even 1 minute. But yes, we do have a little bit of structure here as price is getting closer to that. Yeah, so we will see. It's going to be an interesting one to pay attention in here. More into what we have in here in the lower time frame. Okay, so those are a little bit of the moves. So price went up. This is actually quite interesting. So price actually managed to go up in here, right? Then this is the move that happened with the negative GDP. So we actually had that massive move to the downside on Wednesday, and then price flipped completely, moving to the upside. Yeah, then basically price with the earnings of Facebook and so on, then even managed to break above it, then continued, then more negative news that happened in terms of the, I think, something related to I think maybe something regarding to unemployment. Another move down, and then price eventually went up. But this was a nice retest just to the support resistance, and then price turned again, and now continuation with the NFP. Again, that move a little bit better than expected. So price went up already, retested already the structure here with this low, and now pushing to the upside. So that was the move. That's basically what happened in here for the week. Whenever we managed to close the gap in there, this is already 2 weeks ago. And yeah, so I'm going to continue to track and to see what may happen in here. Now we create a little bit of the structure. Most likely price still wants to fake out the top. I'll then really be looking for price to go all the way and just drop from where it is, even though kind of starts breaking some structure. But eventually can go all the way, fake out the top, and eventually reacting into the next zone. Okay, yeah, so that's going to be an interesting one. I'm still not 100% bullish. That's not my bias. I'm not entirely sure about that. Nasdaq, as I mentioned, already fake out this top in here from the 2nd of April, and it's already getting closer to that next level of structure, which is interesting. What we had in here as well is basically price breaking a little bit of some structure to downside. So I actually like those aspects. Okay, price is actually managing to break some lows on the way up. I always like to see that eventually for a turn. And the next key level basically is going to be a little bit higher where price is right now into something in here. So that will be that's basically the next zone that I want to pay attention in here on Nasdaq. Price also, as it was going up, also reacting from a little bit of these levels. Maybe to have not this one behind in here. And yep, and I would like to see also going a little bit more to the upside before turning. We could go a little bit higher, and I'll be paying attention to that in here. Yeah, just basically breaking a little bit. We have this next structure, so we'll see what will happen. Let's a little bit higher, see where I want to see Nasdaq moving towards to. It's going to be definitely an interesting week, and attention to what we're going to be by on Wednesday. Dow is even lagging. Okay, so Dow just finally broke this top in here. So while, can you see the difference? While basically Nasdaq is already somewhere in there, S&P is still kind of basically reacting from here, and Dow hasn't even reacted from this level in here. Okay, so Dow is actually lagging. I'm actually quite curious to see how price may react around this structure. Okay, around this level. That's basically the key zone that I'm paying attention to in here on the Dow. Again, a small break in there, but basically price just respected this previous level support resistance in here, and price continue to move to the upside. And yep, and I'm going to be curious to see how price may react around this level. Right. Yep, that sounds good. DAX is actually getting closer and closer to all-time highs. Perhaps it can go all the way. It can be one of those indices that's going to go above and creating all-time highs. We have this kind of strong double top. One of the levels that I would consider still is a little bit higher. Okay, I'll maybe consider something around here as a potential short, at least to see some reaction. So that's maybe something that we can look for as the market opens tomorrow. So somewhere around here potentially can be interesting. Yep. Right. Yep. Even you could feel a little bit of this range. Even FTSE 100 as well, as it's moving to the upside a little bit more and more, compressing quite a lot. So I'm going to be also following and tracking to see how eventually it's going to react as it gets closer, as it moves to the upside, to be honest. So yeah, we will see. I'm going to be tracking it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, to be honest. It's going to be interesting. As a content trader, this is something that I start to like. Okay, price is being super bullish, and eventually is going to have some kind of bounce or retracement, and I want to try to catch those moves. Okay, crypto. I'm really curious to try to potentially look for shorts in here on Bitcoin. Okay. Just one last point, because in terms of the US indices, something that we have been using is the VIX, just to have as a reference. Okay, usually VIX needs to kind of be reacting from a good level for actually seeing a reversal or a move to the downside on US indices. VIX basically is approaching now this demand zone that basically made that big push up that actually managed to break the structure. Otherwise, we may be looking for VIX to get a little bit lower. But for now, in here, it's perfect. And I want to actually see if we do have more confirmation here or not. Yeah, but it starts looking yeah, starts to slow down, but still not proper confirmation. We managed to break this high in here, so that's something, but still nothing much. Okay, so what I was saying in terms of BTC, yeah, so I was looking for price. I think price can react somewhere around here, around this 98. Otherwise, it may go even higher. So many people are looking for price to break this trend line. It finally happened. Good reaction, move to the upside. And at this point, he hasn't really managed to break anything relevant to the downside. Okay, so we were ranging here for basically 10 days. Price finally broke to the upside last week, and now, in my opinion, it's kind of getting closer in here to this next level that basic price is reacting. Really nice move in here, just something that I was paying attention to, but then on Friday kind of reacted, and I'm going to be looking for price to come back into this level. So nice double top in here to track liquidity, and then price just fakes out that level, and I will be definitely paying attention to see how price may react from here. We'll see. I think we could trade within this range in here. Okay, I think we could potentially trade around here at least. So go all the way back from around 97 something, 97,500, all the way to close to maybe 93. So we can be at least trading within this range. Yep, so I'm going to be paying attention. Ethereum could go even a little bit higher, to be honest, and Solana as well, respecting that level, and we'll see what will happen next. Yeah, dominance continues to be quite high. All right, so looking now at the individual currency pairs, we have the Yen index, which made a massive move to the downside, now reacting really nicely from one of the targets. We've been bearish all the way through in here, which is the opposite, kind of bullish on the individual Yen pairs. But the good reaction eventually can continue to push lower, but it can also, so this is basically a reaction from the support resistance, and eventually can even go there again. Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to react from here and go up, or it's going to just continue to push forward closer to this. That's basically the question in here. Euro index, yeah, it's withhold this level, okay. Yeah, so Euro index, we have been negative, we have been bearish. Price broke this low in here, retested really nicely that top, and that happened after price actually managed to fake out this top in here on the left side from a few years ago. But after that, price broke structure, retest, really nice, now broke a new structure in here, and price at basically this extreme in here to see price reacting from. We saw that reaction, price actually managed to break something, fake out, and now pushing lower. If price were about to break above this level, then I could see price going all the way back closer to this extreme, somewhere in there. But for now, price is holding this level, and it can continue to push even more. Yeah, so that can also lead into shorts on the euro pairs. All right, so let's take a look now at all right, let me bring the euro dollar. Yeah, so let's start with euro dollar in here. So again, I really like where the euro dollar is reacting. So for me, it's a great level of supply where price end up reacting in here. So that's perfect. Yep. Standing. So yeah, that's basically where we are reacting. Good level, and since then price has been moving to the downside. And I'm looking to see price actually manage to break below this low in here and maybe after that we could have a little bit of a deeper retracement, maybe closer to this level in here. So that's a level that I've been paying attention to. Potentially can even go there somewhere in here with this with these lows, sorry, these tops in here. So, but for that, I would like to see euro actually managing to break below. So that's something that I'll be waiting for. Yeah, so we saw a little bit of a move up, but now I actually would like to see price breaking down to open the door for potential further move in here on the euro dollar. Looking at the pound dollar, a bit different, but still kind of potentially bearish. But I actually would like to see maybe a pound going a little bit higher first, somewhere closer to this level, before a bigger move to the downside. We did manage to fake out slightly that top, and yeah, trying to see if it managed to break below this structure here as well, that you can start opening the door all the way. Yeah, almost all the way until there. Which is massive for the pound dollar. So that will be interesting to see. At this point, price respecting this level, so no break to the upside. Euro pound. Yeah, so just to finalize in here on the pound dollar, I'm not the biggest fan of anything in here of this low. So if price actually starts breaking, it could even go potentially all the way closer to this level. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, or if we do manage to break this low, kind of collects a little bit of liquidity underneath here, and then kind of goes up in here and does something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised neither if price does actually something like this. Yeah, maybe reacting from something in there, for example. So yeah, if this happens, it happened. But again, as I mentioned, I would rather kind of see actual price going all the way closer to one of these lines in here. Euro pound, yeah, I would like it to continue to push forward. So that was a great reaction, again, from that top on the left. And I think I would like to see this one continue to push a bit forward before turning. Yeah, now it's finding a little bit of process. But yeah, we'll see. Aussie, yeah, Aussie, I'm bullish. I've been bullish. Basically, this is perfect price action of a reversal price action, kind of create destruction here, start breaking some highs, and you have a massive fake out into good level where price end up reacting from, and now you start measuring breaking highs, range, and now break a new high in here. At the same time, we basically have a full compression in here to see what. Yeah, what will happen. So yeah, nice move in here. What's the target? Potentially we can even aim a little bit more to this level before any massive reversal. So we'll see. Looking at the other Aussie pairs, we actually had in here on Euro Aussie a massive move to downside, so it continues. It was actually all the way back after reacting from kind of the extreme in there. Yeah, so no surprise, a little bit also in alignment with the Euro index, which started to push a little bit lower and now kind of going all the way through, maybe even moving more than the Aussie dollar. But yeah, we'll see what will happen somewhere. Somewhere in there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. We can take a look at pound Aussie as well, maybe. Yeah, also moving down after kind of a week in here within this range. Yeah, so nothing much. New Zealand maybe. New Zealand also trying to go even higher after this massive turning here. It's already reacting a little bit from that level, so it's actually leading in regards to Aussie, but also reacting nicely from that from those lows. And you'll see if you're going to continue to push even more in here, or if there's going to be a retracement. The yen pairs. Let's take a look at the Aussie yen, because Aussie yen I think can be interesting. Yeah, so Aussie yen has been moving to the upside, which is nice, and it's approaching now this level. So yes, while the yen index potentially can continue to push forward, most likely have the yen pairs moving higher. All the back in there. I'm curious to see how price may react from here. We need this level. The other yen pairs, dollar yen has been one of my favorites. Really nice move in here, respecting the lows. That was also in alignment with the yen index, creating the top. And then kind of that was one of the questions, like respecting this kind of left shoulder, continue to push higher, and especially because this demand zone was still fresh, or was price ready to go a little bit deeper before making that move. Maybe from where price is right now, eventually can even go all the way, fake out this level, and push a little bit lower. Yeah, can even go higher, to be honest. So that could be one of the scenarios. There's maybe a few levels in here where we could have some reaction, positive reaction here on the dollar yen. But meanwhile, meanwhile is actually kind of moving up, and potentially this can be the target as well. Euro yen, I'm not touching it. I still don't like anything in here. It's moving a little bit better recently, but still not interested whatsoever. And pound yen, this is a nice one. This could have been a great short, to be honest. I was not not at my desk when it happened. But nice, really reversal pattern playing out in here, really nice, and then kind of reacting already from the left shoulder as a potential sell. Price was reacting from an interesting level on the left side, so just fake out this level, nice veto. Previous level, support resistance plus a supply, and yeah, now price moved to downside. May have already taken this one, maybe reacting from this demand zone in here as price approaching back into this level. Yeah, nice little move. What else do we have? CAD is an interesting one. So CAD has been starting to show a little bit of strength, but without really managing to break proper highs. We kind of managed to break out a little bit of this one, but nothing relevant. And eventually can continue to push even lower. And at this point, it's still respecting basically this demand zone, but it could go, it could go even more. Yeah, we'll see. This point is finding some support, but nothing still super relevant. EuroCAD. Okay, respect to the top, and now most likely can go a little bit closer to here. If actually Euro index also goes, then can be a good example to follow. Card. Yeah, massive. Okay, big turn. It goes down and potentially can even go even further. Yeah, so just managed to break this low, so we'll see. Let's maybe want to continue to follow. Maybe there's a potential continuation just from here, or if price comes back somewhere around here, potentially can be more shorts. The longs, potentially if you do manage to price already breaking a little bit of these previous lows, but it's already reacting in here, make this move. So we'll see. Dollar franc Swiss, yeah, let's just finish with that one. Yeah, still respecting. I'm curious to see around this level. Again, dollar franc Swiss has been super bearish in here, so we'll see. It can definitely continue to move more. The where price is reacting here is basically support resistance. So now we created a double top basically, and yeah, it could fake out, it could go down, could react from here or go something like this and continue. So that could be a possibility. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to follow in here on the dollar franc Swiss. I don't like the double top now to look for sales, but then we have gold. What do we have on gold? Okay, gold is reacting from this level. I'm more interested in looking for gold a little bit underneath. So yes, price respected something in here, but we have this level and we have this level as well, that eventually gold could continue to push even more. Silver had a massive move. Yeah, so it got really close in here to this the supply again, and then kind of a double top, reacted from here, now continue to move forward, break even destruction here already. So yeah, this is nice. Yeah, we'll see. But something here, something in there also could continue to push gold, and then otherwise it starts challenging back into this level in here. So I'm not the biggest fan of this low, and then you can finish with the oil. Oil has been super bearish, kind of reacting negatively to all those news, even GDP as well, until eventually turns, goes back into these lows. Personally, I do think that oil still wants to go a little bit lower, so I'm not going to be that eager straight away to for longs already from this level, as I eventually would like to see oil getting a little bit closer to maybe this structure in here. Yeah, good initial reaction from here, and then we'll see. Yeah, that's a little bit what I'm going to be looking for. So yeah, let me know in the comments as well what you're looking, if there's any key level that you're paying attention. So just to finalize, dollar, is it going to hold that top, yes or no, and it's going to start challenging again to downside, or the opposite? Okay, so what are we going to be looking at the dollar? Is it going to start by respecting a little bit of this structure and then potentially coming back closer to this 98 mark, or is it going to just continue, and then from here it's going to break new lows or not? Okay, there are a few options in here, not entirely already focusing in one direction. Yen pairs, I think it's going to be bouncing in between this level again. It can even challenge in here. I think that can be one of the final targets, but it can bounce, it can come back to this level, as it can go all the way back into these highs again. So that's going to be an interesting one to follow, but for now, either in here or in there, I think there can become some opportunities. Euro, I think, can continue to push a little bit more to downside all the way into this structure, or if it completely turns from here, then they're looking at these highs. US indices, that's going to be the main one that I'm going to be continuing to follow, looking for potential shorts. Again, you can even fake out this without getting to the net structure, which is basically where Nasdaq is also approaching. I think we may have or can have some kind of bearishness as price is cleaning every single demand on the way up. Yeah, when you fake out of the top before potentially a bit of a move to the downside, and I'm going to be looking at the Dow and Nasdaq to about the same. DAX also doesn't really change much, getting a really closer to the high, so it's much closer, but somewhere in here it could have some reaction, so I'll be paying attention to that. Yeah, oil, yeah, I'm going to look a little bit this level. Still would like to see price going further down. If it continues to move a bit higher, then maybe there's more opportunities in here. Gold, again, I'll continue to try to see if gold actually wants to go a little bit lower before moving. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. So thank you. I'll see you next week, most likely. Okay, have a good week, guys, and yeah, have a good rest as well till the end of today, and to start strong tomorrow. Bye bye. Thank you. Subscribe, like, and all this stuff.